This is the AOC Sports High School Football Preview Show.
Dan Brennan, we are at the halfway point of the high school football season here on Friday Night Rivals. Good evening, I'm Jim Cox. It's hard to believe, but it always flies by every year like it's doing this year.
I know. I don't know why we have to pinch ourselves every time. It's happened for 20, 21 years now straight, but a lot of good football we've seen. And I think as we look at what's coming up, we have a lot of good football on the way.
Yeah, go back to last Friday night when we saw just the way the schedule has worked. We saw Saraland for the third time already this season. And, early in the year, knew they had some inexperienced players starting to gain some experience. But wow, they are certainly a team trending up. And you see a Blunt team, I think, that's maybe still trying to find their way a little bit right now.
Yeah, I think Leb Holly's departure right before the season started, that kind of put them behind the eight ball a little bit. You could see it. They really didn't have an identity offensively, really at all. They're struggling with that. They play hard. They've got some pretty good players on defense. They've got some skill. They just weren't able to mesh it together. So maybe Blunt gets better as the season goes along. Saraland certainly has gotten better, and we saw a game against McGill. Their sort of coming out party where they started to show what they've become.
Yeah, in the fourth quarter of that McGill game. And then, back to Blunt, they were just chasing it all night. It was one of those games. They had bad field position. They had some turnovers. They were just chasing all night, and just kind of felt it was going to get. It kind of got away from them quickly in that game. Tonight we've got McGill going up against Murphy. It is the 90th time these two schools will play. Dan and I have done 78 of the games. It's amazing how we've done that many.
Paint the cannon after the game, a lot of fun.
Yeah, one of the greatest rivalries in the state of Alabama, and we'll talk more about that. But we're going to talk about sports medicine here. Dr. Russell Hudgens with us here from AOC. And Doc, we were talking a little bit earlier, and a lot of times we talk about preventing injuries or injuries we see on a common occurrence. And you said, hey, let's think about what happens kind of long-term down the road after someone has an injury like this, right? You're kind of thinking like the long-term effects.
So yeah, I call this kind of the glory days. The old guys think of the glory days when we used to play ball, and here we are now feeling the effects of those injuries or whatever we took. And so they can be very disabling. And
do you see a lot of patients coming in that are, maybe and I don't know what that age is. Is it late 40s? Is it 50s, 60s? They kind of come in?
It tends to start really in the late 40s to 50s is when you start seeing the most traumatic changes that you see from the arthritic changes of an injury.
So some guy, we're talking about an injury, a high school injury possibly, or something done when it was a young man. It can really begin to fester in a different way later in age.
Frequently, speaking of football, football, you think mostly of knees. You see some arthritic changes occur in knees, lower back, neck injuries, shoulder injuries. They may start lingering and start with repetitive injuries over the span of someone's life. You may see it become more and more problematic at an earlier age than you would from natural occurrence.
You talked about arthritic conditions. How has that changed? Just in the time you've been a physician, seeing how it's treated and how it's the advances in the treatment, because arthritis is just something that, man, it can be dang debilitating for people.
Yeah, and the key is now what we know about arthritis is the disease process, particularly when you talk about traumatic arthritis, and we're trying to reverse it with particularly starting early exercise, early treatment, medications, anti-inflammatories, some natural supplements may sometimes be helpful. Sometimes the exercise with the assistance of therapists can help restore that function. If it gets where nothing seems to help it, sometimes maybe an injection or two here or there. And eventually, sometimes if it gets particularly worn out, like a knee, shoulder, something like that, surgical treatment may be. And that's where we've seen most of the changes is in how things have been done surgically in a much earlier age than it used to be, because we used to just wait till it was just end stage, the patient was literally just dragging their leg in. Now we start way before they've lost their life and their function and restore their life and function with those surgeries.
Yeah, quality of life. It's life changing for so many. You see someone has a hip or a knee replaced, and it used to be so daunting, and now, boy, it's 4-6 weeks later, it's like
you bounce back and you look at them and you go, "You just had surgery?" Yeah.
I wanted to ask you one. So, football, like we talk a lot about on this show. We talk about ACL or MCL or meniscus, things you see, common knee injuries. Sunday, watching an NFL game, Bears and Bengals. Andy Dalton runs off the field, non-contact injury. Immediately, the commentator's like, "Ooh, That looks like it could be an ACL, one of those things. Turns out to be a bone bruise, which I hadn't really heard about, because it's not maybe exactly what you think it sounds like, but also it sounds like that's a terribly painful situation for someone to go through.
It's like a bruise anywhere else. So if you're walking on a bruise that's in your bone, it's just like you're pushing on a bruise every time you touch it, and it just constantly stays sore. And those are not infrequent findings that you'll see following traumatic injuries like an ACL when you see it on the MRI. Fortunately, most of those injuries, like a bruise anywhere else, it just eventually fades and the symptoms go away. But it's variable. It could take 4 to 6 weeks. It may take even 2 months. But good news is it usually heals, and there's usually not any long-term residual from it.
Bones aren't made to bang together, are they?
No.
That's really not what they're
And usually you have the cartilage cushion there, but if you did it hard enough, certainly something's going to give and the bone does.
I think the bones are going to bang together on the field tonight, by the way. I think it's intended because it's known as Murphy and McGill.
Yep, it's a huge rivalry. Doc, good talking to you. Got a great topic here tonight as well. Stick around. We'll get you ready for tonight's matchup. As Dan said, the battle to paint the cannon in Midtown. Murphy and McGill right here on Friday Night Rivals. We're about 20 minutes away from kickoff here on UTV 44. Chip Cox and Dan Brennan ready for Friday Night Rivals. And I'm not sure if there's two schools that put the word rivals in a matchup more than these two. Murphy and McGill meeting for the 90th time here tonight on UTV 44. We've got Braden Turner here with us. We're going to talk with that young man. We've talked about him for the past couple of years on Friday nights. And Coach Norman Joseph, first year at McGill, and it probably didn't take long before you realized Murphy and McGill, kind of a big deal, right?
Absolutely. They've been talking about it at school for a long time, and we realize it's a huge rivalry.
Gotta like, we were talking about Saraland kind of trending up. Gotta like the way your team's been playing the past couple of weeks. Kind of feel like moving in that direction. Defense playing great, offense coming along as well.
Yes, and you throw in good special teams as well. I feel like all of our phases have, up to this point, are getting better, and hopefully we'll continue to be able to do so.
You know, as a father of a former McGill captain who, many years ago, the throng of students ended up at our house like at 11 o'clock on Friday night, just painting the cannon. So they let me know. I'm thinking, you're going to get arrested? But I know that it's a great tradition, and it's something that the school just feeds off. It's one of the biggest games of the year for sure, in the whole coast.
Yes, and I would think both schools are very much involved in that, and wanting to win and wanting to have success so they can enjoy the party afterwards.
Yeah, Braden Turner with us here, DB. Also see him when you have a young man like this, you kind of find reasons to put him in different places. On the field, we were just talking in the break here, you've committed to go to Northwestern.
Yes,
and kind of talk us through that process and what brought you to make the decision to go to such a fine, institution right there on the lakefront in Chicago?
What brought me to pick Northwestern was probably the amazing, atmosphere, the great relationship I had with the coaches. It was just the perfect place for me.
We don't see a lot of Northwestern, obviously it's very hard to get in Northwestern, but you don't see a lot of kids from the Gulf Coast, going up to
No,
Northwestern.
you see them occasionally. Purdue comes down here and throws out a bunch of scholarships.
Minnesota,
right? But not Northwestern, of course, can be really choosy because the academic institution that it is. Have you met with, I suppose you have, Coach Pat Fitzgerald? And
Yes, sir.
He seems to be just a
amazing coach.
Yes,
Amazing.
I agree.
Yes,
Tell me about him, about just your relationship with him.
he's actually a very good coach. He's just a down-to-earth person, and you could talk to him about anything you want to.
And I don't think he's going anywhere.
No, as a huge Bears fan, there's always talk about him. The Bears maybe one day would like to see him as a coach. Remember the Packers a few years ago asked permission to talk to him, and he said, "Save your breath. I'm not going anywhere." Played at Northwestern, and
I want to coach Braden.
Yeah, that's what it is. So he's going to be there at least 5 more years. But what a tremendous opportunity for this young man. But you don't get to go to Northwestern if you're even if you're a great high school football player. Not every great high school football player is afforded the opportunity to go play at Northwestern.
Exactly, and I will say this, their coaching staff did a tremendous job through all the evaluations, talking about character and his academics as well as athletic ability, and then what does he do in the off season? How involved is he in the weight room, and how does he work the off-season workouts around track and basketball? It was quite an interview process just for me in talking about Braden and then having the opportunity for him to go to this Big Ten school.
Was it a different interview process because it was Northwestern? They just go about it differently?
It was more so because of the academics and looking at that. But it's also, that's a long way for a young man to go to school, and they wanted to make sure of all the moving parts that that fit the Northwestern tradition.
Yeah, that's a great, sometimes you don't think about that. I mean, you think about, just a young man, 17 years, all of a sudden he's 1,000 miles from home, and going to be a little bit of a shock in the winter. I'm just going to give you that, but you'll get through that. Talk about before we get to that, but I mean, kind of got a big one here tonight. Murphy McGill. Talk about what it means to you as a senior for this matchup.
As a senior, it's a big thing. I want to paint that cannon. I've never been able to paint the cannon, but I want to do it this year.
That'll be great. It's one of the games this week that I'm glad it's on TV, because it's one of the games all week long people are going to be talking about. People are going to be going back and forth. Murphy grads have got their pride at stake as well. Murphy team that's coming around after some really tough luck to start the year. So it could be a really good game.
Yeah, and I know you probably, not probably, as you get ready for this game, I mean, you see what Murphy has, and sometimes you see a record could be a little really not a true representative of maybe the team you're going up against, and I think that's probably how you're viewing the matchup this week.
Absolutely, Jim. I look at what Coach Jackson has done with that team, and we see him improving every week. For whatever reason, there's been a couple of mishaps in each ball game, but they're playing hard. They're well coached. It's a good ball club, and we know we have to be ready come Friday night.
Yeah, they'll be bringing it.
I think we've got to be ready. We've got to be ready.
So excited. We get to do this game almost every year, so we're excited to get to do it again. Thank you, Coach. Thank you, Braden. Good luck out there tonight. We'll talk to you more before the game as well. Stick around. We're going to talk Murphy Panthers as they get ready to take on. They're playing host to the McGill-Toolen Yellow Jackets here on Friday Night Rivals. Coach Rico Jackson is with us right after this. Murphy and McGill Friday Night Rivals here on UTV 44. Jim Cox, Dan Brennan, Devon Smith of the Murphy Panthers, Rico Jackson, head coach of the Panthers, with us here as we get ready for this matchup. And Coach, boy, sometimes you just get some challenges every year. Every team has some adversity, but drop a quarterback early in the year. That's a big challenge. But I know you're starting to feel like, okay, now we're starting to feel our way and kind of find our way as we get to the midway point of the season here for the Murphy Panthers, right?
Yeah, it hurt when we lost Derek Davis. He was our senior leader, our quarterback. We lost in the first game versus a very good James Clemens team. But we've kind of rallied the troops. The kids have been practicing hard, playing hard. We got a win with Mary G. Last week we kind of had a setback, but the kids did play hard. So now it's just trying to find a balance of how can we continue to improve and get wins. So.
Yeah, let's talk about those two games in particular. Your last two games, a big win against Mary G. Montgomery. The team plays very well.
Right.
And last week you had to go up against ranked Theodore. That's probably considered one of the best teams along the Gulf Coast. I know they are. How did your teams play differently in those two games? You win one, you lose one.
I thought Mary G, we believed that we were going to go in and have success right now. I think Theodore, we had doubt, and you can't have doubt when you play good teams. Sure. And I think we kind of figured out when we got in the second half that we can actually play with Theodore, and we played well the second half. So we have to go into the McGill game with the mindset that we're going to win the game, and we have to continue to have a great week of practice, which we've had 2 really good days, and just it's all started with mindset and belief.
Devon Smith, one of the returning starters on the offensive line for the Panthers here this week, and kind of touching on about what Coach is saying there about having that mindset, having that great feeling going up against McGill. What are you doing personally, and also to help your teammates to make sure you're in that good headspace for the game?
Making sure I watch a ton of film, trying to stay focused at practice, work my hardest. Making sure my teammates are focused, and That's pretty much it.
Getting focused against McGill. I mean, that's a that comes kind of easy. This is a huge rivalry for you, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, the school doing anything different this week with the matchup with McGill, getting the students getting a little riled up a little bit.
Social media, yeah, a little bit.
That hasn't always been in the 89 previous matchup. It hasn't always been there. In a game like this, sometimes in a rivalry game, are you ever concerned like, okay, God, let's not get too emotional at the beginning of the game. Let's not burn all that energy. Let's be fired up, but let's kind of keep our emotions harnessed in a big game like this?
Yeah, that's always the case. But it's a big game for us because it's the next game, but also because it's obviously McGill, and we know they're a good team. We feel like our record doesn't indicate what kind of team we are, but we have to prove that because your record is who you are.
As Bill Parcells like to say, right?
So what a story, though, at quarterback for your team. As you were telling me this yesterday on the phone, it's like, well, am I hearing this right? So your starter gets hurt, and then of all things, in walks a kid says, I think I can help you?
Yeah, so our starter gets hurt week 1. He actually plays through the game with an ACL tear.
Okay.
So we come into week 2 and we get 2 baseball guys. We had a lot of special teams issues week 1, and they come to us and they say, Coach, we want to help with special teams. And special teams was phenomenal week 2, but we went in the game without a quarterback, and I think that hindered us. Well, I know it hindered us a lot. We rushed for 300, but we couldn't throw the ball.
Wow. I didn't know
So on the sideline, after the game that Monday, our quarterback now, who's actually a transfer from McGill, he came to me and without us going to him, and he said, Coach, y'all need a quarterback, and I'm gonna help you. So
I can do more than punt.
Yes, and that's just the competitive juices that Caleb has, and he came out. And right now, he's still on a learning curve. He's only been doing it for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So, but he has really helped us, and he's more than just a good baseball player. He's a good teammate as well.
He's a catcher, huh?
Yeah, he's a catcher.
So he's got the high baseball IQ as a catcher.
Yeah, he's a leader.
Yeah, you put your guy there, but it goes back to and I know you preach this and others, but it's just so good for kids to play more than one sport. I mean, just look at the lessons he's going to get from being the quarterback, and also the story he's going to tell his grandkids, his whole life about being the quarterback for the Murphy Panthers.
No doubt, man. My own son, he plays 3 sports, and when those kids go out there and play other sports, man, it makes them tougher. They don't get burned out. Just so many other benefits they get from not just focusing on one sport. And I really think he's enjoying it. The other young man, Hunter, he's a long snapper, plays some linebacker. He's enjoying it. We got another baseball kid out. He's the backup quarterback. So, now, and we have some baseball kids that play, but now I think we're getting more integrated as a school.
That's cool.
And, that could really pay long-term dividends too. Quickly here, how much have you noticed the difference now with Caleb being at quarterback for the Panthers?
It's a big difference. Not too much of it, but we get to throw the ball some more. Still gonna focus on our run game though.
Yeah,
Murphy's 300 yards.
Yeah,
That's pretty good.
And run blocking's more fun, right? That's more more fun to do that.
Go and get them.
All right. Thank you, Devon. Thank you, Rico. Devon, you'll be in the last segment with Heather. Dan and I are going to get out of here. Heather's going to come in here, and she's got lots of fun questions for the young men here as we get ready for our matchup. Friday Night Rivals, Murphy and McGill tonight right here on UTV 44.
Preview show. Heather Healy here. Dan and Jim are now in the press box, and we get to have some fun. But before we do, we have the Wendy's Giant of the Week. A big congratulations goes to Walker Wilcox, a senior defensive lineman for UMS Wright Preparatory School. This week's Wendy's Giant of the Week. Do you want to be Wendy's Giant of the Week? If you're a junior or a senior who plays on the football team in any of the high schools in our Alabama viewing area, you could win. Just log on to UTV44.com, click on the contest page to be entered for a Wendy's Giant of the Week prize pack. Of course, rules and regulations do apply. All right, let's get to the fun stuff. I have got Devon Smith for Murphy, and I have got Braden Turner for McGill. Now, before I get into all the questions that you guys want to know, I have to ask, since this is a huge rival, I'm going to start with you. What would it mean for you as a senior to be painting this cannon for this rivalry?
It means a lot to keep on tradition to paint the cannon orange.
Yeah, paint it orange, but you don't want to paint it orange. No, what would it mean to you?
It really means a lot to be a senior. I really feel like this is going to be the year that we paint the cannon blue. So.
Okay, big talk. All right, so we got some fun questions to ask both of you guys, and I mean, just kind of relax so everybody can get to know you just a little bit. All right, first question I'm gonna ask, it is officially fall, super exciting. Pumpkin spice or apple cider?
I don't know about neither one of those.
Well, I threw them off. What about you?
I don't know either.
No? Okay, favorite season?
I'll say the winter.
The winter, okay.
Summer.
Summer, okay. Now, you're about to go up in the Chicago area, and let me tell you something, that winter is no joke, my friend. I'll tell you what. Okay, your favorite superhero?
Superhero, I have to say Superman.
Superman. You can't say Superman.
Iron Man.
Why Iron Man?
I mean, he got his own suit.
That's right. That's very true. Superman, you like the cape?
Cape is all right, but
okay.
More of his power.
Your favorite Disney character?
Disney character, I have to say Danny Phantom. Is he on Disney? I don't think he is.
Okay.
I don't think he is. I don't know.
Okay, we'll pass on that one, but you?
Favorite Disney character?
Yes.
Probably, I can't even think of one right now.
It's Disney. You guys are killing me. Okay, breakfast food. What do you eat for breakfast?
Cereal.
Cereal.
Frosted Flakes.
Frosted Flakes. Tony the Tiger fan? Okay, there you go. What about you?
Pancakes.
Pancakes. What do you put on your pancakes?
Just syrup.
Just syrup. You don't do chocolate chips or anything like that? Okay, it's just plain and simple. Okay, what show are you guys currently binge watching?
I think it's the new Marvel series, What If.
Yes, okay. What about, do you like it so far?
Yeah, it's good.
It's good.
Chicago Med.
Chicago Med. Getting ready to be up there?
Yeah.
I like that. Okay, and the last question I'm going to ask you, your favorite animal?
I had to say lion.
Why the lion?
I don't know, it's just interesting how they get down low and hunt like for their prey.
Okay, I like that. What about you?
A goat.
Why a goat?
Greatest of all time.
I like that. You guys, thank you so much for playing along with me, and hope you guys got to know these two just a little bit before kickoff. We are about 25 seconds away before we go down on the field, but guys, good luck to the both of you. Have a great rivalry. Be fair, be safe, and should be a good one. And my first one, so make it fun for me, okay? Hope you guys have a great rest of your evening. Enjoy kickoff in just about 10 seconds.